Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Nope There's Only Trash Here podcast. The date today is the 11th of June 2013 and it's E3 week!
Yay, E3!
Hey, it's the biggest week of the year for gaming, so excitement is high. Spirits are low.
Well, I'm quite happy, I'm quite pleased. I don't know about you.
Well, you know, okay, the Nintendo broadcast was today, and we're not going to talk about it today, but spirits are low for me because of that, but that's for another podcast. Today, me and MrMuckluckable, you know him.
I'm here still.
Yeah, I don't
He won't
know.
let me go.
Yeah, it's not good. Don't, You're lucky no one listens, because no one can call the police to help you out. Kind of works out that way. But today we're going to cover Sony and Microsoft's conferences, and then also EA and Ubisoft's. So, I mean, it's worth saying at the beginning is that if there's anything that we've missed, then we'll just cover it next week. It's not the end of the E3. We're only on Tuesday night, so a lot more could be revealed and all that kind of stuff. But the basic stuff is out there. Most of the game has been revealed, and there's still some details to come out, maybe some surprises. But I think for the most part, it's safe to start breaking down E3 and saying what we think about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So we got to be systematic here because there's just too many games and too much stuff to talk about. So we're just going to go through each conference and just in order. I got it in chronological order here. So
are you drunk over there?
No.
I know the Nintendo thing was depressing, but have you resorted to alcohol already?
My soul needed to be soothed. I actually do have a couple of beers here. I don't think I can get drunk off that though. But anyway, let's start off with the Microsoft conference because that's the first one. So they started off with MGS5, The Phantom Pain, which the footage pretty much showed Snake on a horse, like riding in this big open world and then rescuing the guy from, I can't remember his name, but I think that's Zero, Major Zero, I may be wrong there, but yeah, so rescuing his mate, and then it's more, story style, classic MGS kind of, look at this weird looking guy who has electric face or whatever it was. So, you're not a fan of MGS, right? Or you're not into that series?
I've never been any good at stealth.
Right.
Really?
Yeah, me neither, but you can still kind of get by in those games without stealth. But so, as someone who doesn't play those games, what did you think as, well, first of all, as being the lead-in for the Microsoft conference, and, as a game itself?
As a lead-in, it wasn't, I mean, they can't appeal to everyone. There's no one game that everyone likes, and
Sure.
Obviously it's not really a game or a series I've liked. So, it's just okay. It looks nice. Fair enough. Move on. Get out of the way.
Well, I'm really excited for it. I'm really impressed because they already announced this game and showed us some trailers for it, but the original trailer, or for the Phantom Pain, was really good and focused on like him being in a hospital, and then this one focused more on how it's going to work gameplay wise. But the fact that it's an open world stealth game kind of hasn't been done before, and the Metal Gear Solid 1 did have that open world kind of feel where you're exploring the base. So I'm pretty excited that they're now branching out into complete open world, and they showed off quite some cool gameplay mechanics, like as you were riding along you could jump to the side of your horse to be hidden. I don't know how the enemy soldiers wouldn't notice just like this suspicious horse. And I don't know how you can completely hide yourself as well as, Snake does. But, I think it looks really good. And, we're going to see a lot of open world games. But for me, seeing that being open world, I was impressed. So, yeah, so pretty much the Phantom Pain is looking pretty decent. So,
yeah.
The next one, yeah, it does. So my next point, also I have this all written down, but I did cut out certain things. Like, I didn't put Rabbids Invasion, the TV show for kids, in
Why
my
not?
list. Well, I'm not 8, and I don't really like the rabbits, so yeah, it's the way it has to be. Don't really like it, but so my next one on my list is the new 360 model. It's worth talking about, I think.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
said
well, yeah, it definitely is.
it's pretty much they announced a new 360 model which is slimmer, sleeker, sexier, whatever. and it looks more like the Xbox One, and it's out today, although I did a search on Amazon and it doesn't seem to be out in the UK, so maybe it's on Game, but I doubt it. So, you know, there's not really that much to say. Companies always release new versions of their consoles. There was the Wii Mini that came out last year, so I already have a 360, and they didn't announce a price for the thing, which is kind of a bit odd, because the whole appeal of, you know, a new slimmer console or model is that it's cheaper, so you can just go pick it up. So really, who cares at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would want something like that for is that it's probably a lot quieter, but you can get that with the Xbox Slim, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so, the Elite, they already kind of did all that. They already fixed the problems. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just another... They should have announced the price of that thing, because the only reason you would do it is so people can pick up on the cheap, right, at the end of the generation. So, yeah, so the new 360 model, but who really cares? You know, I don't even really want to talk about this game, but I guess we should. It's World of Tanks.
Oh, the way they hyped this up at the beginning, I was like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tanks.
Yeah, it's like 60 million people play online. Oh, wow, this has got to be a big game, a big title that everyone's talking about. And I've never heard of World of Tanks.
No, me neither. What the hell is it?
It's a World of Tanks, I guess.
Ooh, tanks.
Maybe. I don't... It's just... It didn't look terrible, but my initial thought was that tanks are just lame. Like, there's something about... In Battlefield and games like that, tanks are cool to jump into and blast some people and then get nuke striked or whatever. But a game just about tanks always comes off as just lame, and really, who cares?
Yeah, isn't it? I may be wrong here, but I'm sure I read somewhere that it's free on PC.
Yeah, I guess
it's free to play.
Yeah, and they're doing that on Xbox as well.
Oh, they are? Okay. Then.
Yeah, if you have a gold membership, then you can play it for free. So I guess that's why so many people play it, because it's just a free game, and you know, you can just pick up and play. And really, it'd be 60 million people registered to play it. So I guess tons of people probably tried it out, but I don't know how many people are still playing. But did you notice that the guy said what pretty much everyone on stage said, that before he introduced it, this is one of my personal favourite titles.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was like, this is a game that I'm personally interested in. It's a World of Tanks. And then he just looked like a dick, because who's personally interested in World of Tanks out of everything they showed that day?
Yeah, we don't need to know what you're personally interested in. Just show us the damn games.
No, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they just kept doing that on so many different titles. They kept saying they were personally invested, but, you know, obviously it just comes across as a bit insincere. But so let's go to, well, not really the first next-gen title, because Phantom Pain is on Xbox One, but the first one they showed off and showed a lot of gameplay of was Rise. Son of Rome? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, I think so.
So it's the first like exclusive that they showed off. And the gameplay looked decent. It didn't.
Did it?
It didn't. Maybe that's wrong. The graphics looked decent, and there was a large scope to it, and it looked, you know, very intense and just getting sucked into a big battle. But yeah, you were right to correct me. The gameplay, when you see you shouldn't show off a QuickTime event or QuickTime events in your gameplay trailer. You just shouldn't do it.
It was looking so good up until that point. It was like this is like I almost wanted like Call of Duty Rome. I was like, okay, could be interesting. And then I saw that no, it's nothing like that. It's you press X, you press Y, press B. Great.
Well, I was hoping something similar to. Did you ever play Spartan Total Warrior? I think it was called on the PS2.
Oh no!
It was like. It was like this big kind of game where you went around. It was like a slasher, but there was like a strange amount of tactics to the battle and a big amount of scope to them. Obviously, nowadays, looking back, it seems very, you know, dated, but it was really kind of fun game, and you felt like you were getting sucked into the battles. And I thought that's what Rise could be. And going into that trailer, that's what I thought. Hey, they're actually doing it on a bigger scope with the Xbox One, more power. You can have a lot going on, and then the combat is just. Finishing moves with QuickTime events. That's just no game has ever really pulled that off, apart from, I guess, God of War. But then every other title is just tacked on, and because the problem is, right, there's no satisfaction in pressing Y when it says to press Y to chop off someone's head. It's just you don't feel like you're doing it, so you just don't get sucked into the game, and then ultimately you just have an average experience.
Yeah, and it was the gore, man. It was gore everywhere. That was just like, yeah, lots of blood. This is cool. That's about it.
But there's a lot of good ideas. Like, you're the commander, so they had that bit where you do the turtle formation to block stuff, and then you make that decision when to attack. That was cool. And maybe in the end the game will be good if it has enough of those moments, but, you know, when it comes to the core combat, in a game like that, it's crucial that you get that right and make it interesting. And it just seems like they haven't done that. And we haven't even played the game, and we're saying this, so I don't think Rise is going to be a big one for Xbox One.
No. Oh, also, just I don't know whether you was going to bring this up in the future, but the whole 2 free games on Xbox Live until it's released.
Xbox yes, One. I think that was announced in there. Where was it? 2 free games every month?
Every month, yeah. Yeah,
up until Xbox One comes out, isn't it, or something like that? And the 2 games they said were Assassin's Creed 2, which I hate, and Halo 3, which is old.
Which everyone has. If you have an Xbox 360, you probably have that game.
Yeah, so it's cool, but it's too little, too late, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be downloading Assassin's Creed 2 because hey, it's free.
Sure.
But I just thought it was like, look, we're being nice. Here's some free stuff. That was about it.
Yeah, I think that's all that is, because there's nothing. I can't think of a reason why they would do it apart from to be nice. Because as a player, it doesn't really matter, and I guess it's more trying to match the PlayStation Plus and going into that sort of model. Although they didn't really announce anything like PlayStation Plus, if I'm jumping ahead of myself, in that conference, which I think was a big shot to a lot of people. They mentioned Xbox Live and Xbox Live Gold, but they didn't talk about like any sort of, a PlayStation Plus equivalent, which is, if they're going to do this on the 360, then surely PlayStation Plus or Xbox Plus is coming for Xbox One.
And also we just have to keep an eye out for what games are released in the future as well. The 2 free games. Might be some good ones there. Yeah,
it'll probably just be like Crackdown 1, Cameo. I don't know.
don't bring up Cameo.
I have to bring it up every time now.
No.
I love bringing up Cameo. But speaking of Cameo, speaking of Rare, the next game was Killer Instinct.
Oh, I felt so bad when I watched this for you. I felt so bad.
Well, I felt quite terrible because
it
was pretty much confirmed before. Like, they put a posting on their website, they did the trademark thing. But that wasn't the worst part, because I don't know if you've read this detail, but they confirmed afterwards that it's a free game, but with the game you only get 1 character, and you have to buy other characters online if you want all the characters.
I did hear that. It didn't take long, did it? Did not take long.
How could you still support that model in this day and age? How could you possibly think that's a good model to follow? Has it really done that well? Just because it does well on iPhone and, and iPads doesn't mean that it's not the same on console. Because the reason why it works on iPhone is because you have a full game, but then you pay to have extras. You can't pay for like 1 character, because then you're not paying for a whole game. That's why DLC makes sense, because you have a game, and now you're going to pay to have more of it and expand it. Not half a game, not a shell of a game that you then have to fill up by spending money. It's just so backwards.
It's funny that they didn't mention that in the thing either. It's like, and actually, just quickly, you only get 1 character. Bye.
Yeah, they should have had them both playing the same character, being like, well, we should have brought more, because this is the only one we have. Awesome.
Was it Killer Instinct, the game that the 2 people were playing live on stage?
Yes, the woman and that guy.
The guy that was uttering things similar to rape lines, which was really awkward.
Yeah.
Everyone was pointing out.
Some witty banter.
It's like, shh, just let it happen, and things like that.
It wasn't good. It was
so
creepy.
It was creepy.
Yeah, that's the worst. And the thing is, if I'm trying to be fair about it, Killer Instinct, people do like that game, but I don't think anyone is excited about it, because it's an arcade title as well. It's not a full-tail release. So I don't know how anyone could be excited about it. And it's not being made by just Rare, it's also being made by Double Helix, who, if you don't know them, they made Silent Hill... which one was it? Downpour. I think it was Downpour, which did well for a Western Silent Hill game, but overall didn't do great. So it's not in capable hands. So it's just going to be a bomb. It's just going to be another Rare title gets released that no one cares about. And thanks to Microsoft with this new payment model, no one cares. No one wants it, and no one's interested.
No, shame.
It
could
is
have been
a shame.
something good.
It could have been Banjo-Kazooie.
It could have been. Yeah.
So close. So close. So the next game, there was no gameplay released of it, but there was a trailer, was Sunset Overdrive, which, from what I can tell from the comment sections online and what people have been saying, people have a bit of buzz about it. And I think
Really?
I've seen some buzz.
Oh.
It's not the game that people are talking about, because there's a lot more stuff, to see, and they only released a trailer, but I've seen some people say that looks pretty cool. But, okay, so people are interested in it because it's made by Insomniac, who made Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, and Resistance? Was it Resistance they made? That,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that first-person shooter on PS3. So they now jumped ship to Sunset Overdrive, because this is going to be an exclusive for the Xbox One, to make a stylized shooter. And I don't like stylized shooters. I like gritty shooters, and if you're going to do a stylized shooter, don't try and... I don't like the camp kind of appeal, the at Camp 80 sort of thing, the whole Jet Set Radio, because in the trailer it's some guy going down being all acrobatic, and then he shoots someone in the head, or a mutant in the head, and then it says headshot in big letters. It's not charming, it's not entertaining, it's not particularly funny, it's just, oh, okay. And it's just disappointing, because this is Insomniac. They're a great company, and now they're just going down a road which is just... This game might be good, but I don't like it. I just don't like it.
It was a bit random. I just thought, alright, well then show me some actual gameplay and then I'll make up my mind. But yeah.
It's just really depressing that a company as talented as Insomniac would just come out and this is their new IP. Resistance wasn't like a super original idea, but they were still solid games, and it still worked, and it was still a pretty interesting idea or something to get behind. So the fact that this is what they're going with, because I think they kind of want to stick with the whole, I don't know best way to say it, but kiddie kind of charm, Like they want to go back to that more the style of Spyro, then, and move away from Resistance. That's what I got from seeing this. But obviously they don't think a 3D platformer would do well nowadays, because nobody does. So now we just get a first-person shooter, but that's inspired by Borderlands and Jet Set Radio, instead of something that could have been really cool like a 3D platformer, and they could have done another Ratchet and Clank, or just anything. But so that's why this is disappointing. I'm sure the game's fine, but it's disappointing.
Well, yeah, I think if it plays smoothly. I mean, in the trailer, a big part of it was like him running everywhere and jumping and doing that kind of wall jump stuff. I don't know, if it does play quite fluidly, I might like it, I think.
Maybe, but I don't know. It's just disappointing for me. I can't say anything more than that, because there's no gameplay, so I can't comment on that. It's just, I don't like that sort of style. Like, it's just my bias. And then the fact that a great developer is now going to this... Ugh. I'm not happy. So, we should move on to Forza 5, which...
Oh, do we have to?
We do have to cover it. Because it's not as depressing as Killer Instinct. At least it probably will be a good game.
It's racing games. I just can't fathom just any excitement for racing games. I just can't. I'm biased there, I guess. I hate
Lamborghini.
The big orange thing. Yeah.
Well, I think it looks pretty solid. I do like Forza games. I won't be buying it day one, but The one thing I will say is that the graphics weren't as good as you would think. You know,
Really, I have no kind of thing to compare it to because I don't play them. So really,
yeah, like I remember the 360 and the PS3. You would see that thing. It's like, wow, look how realistic and crisp that looks. And then with this, it doesn't. I mean, I guess maybe I'm thinking that it might be one of those things where, as human beings, we can't get that much above it. Like, you have to be so realistic when it comes to a car to trick a human mind in thinking, wow, that looks real. You know?
yeah, it's that thing like Uncanny Valley, what it's called, where graphics get kind of so realistic, but just not quite, and it makes you feel a bit creepy.
Yeah, I definitely felt that with the cars, where it's like, yeah, I can so tell that's a video game. And then when they do the zoom-in shot, it's like, yeah, that does look better, and I can see all the detail, but that's still a video game to me. Now, there was stuff that I saw that I thought looked amazing. Just in general, when it came to the racing games, I don't see that much improvement. Like, the lighting looked better and all that stuff, but I don't see that improvement that... Usually when it comes to racing games, you're like, wow, look how good that looks. Even back to the PS2. So it's kind of disappointing. And one of the reasons why I was a bit skeptical when it came to the next gen over its graphics, that, you know, they weren't looking that great. So, and Forza 5 is just Forza 5. There really isn't much to say about it in terms of gameplay.
Was it Forza 5 that has the driver tar? Is it that one?
Yes.
Am I getting mixed up with another one?
No, that was Forza 5, and that actually did sound cool.
Did it? Is that? I mean, as a person who plays racing games, does that sound like something you would like?
Yeah, that does sound like a really cool idea. There was a version of this in another game, a little-known game called Mario Kart 7, which already did it, where you had... It was a more basic version, I'm hoping, where people would show up. If you raced against someone, you would save their AI to their Mii, and then you would see their Mii in races that you played, you know, even if you were offline. So It's a very similar idea that they're doing in Forza 5, they're just making it more complex. So that sounds really cool that you can do that. Although really ultimately it doesn't add much. But it's a cool idea. I was excited to see it.
Okay then.
Alright, so that's Forza 5 nailed. Covered that. So the next game is Minecraft. Now, if there's one game I know you love, it's Minecraft.
I do like Minecraft, but it was just so weird the way they presented it. This guy was like, here at Xbox, we love our indie games. Here's Minecraft. And that was it. I was like, that does not count for an indie game anymore. No way.
Well, the trailer was just the main avatar guy walking through a Minecraft world, and then just stats saying, yeah, Minecraft's really popular, by the way. And then it was like Xbox One. And then that was the whole trailer, so...
The only thing that's different is it's going to be a little bit more like the PC version. It's going to have bigger worlds and more things to do in it. But still, it's not the game. It's not the full game. And it was just such a... It didn't need to be there. It really didn't need to be there.
Well, you can see why they're doing it, you know, but if they didn't have anything to show, then maybe, you know, leave it alone, because they only just released the 360 version on disc, and it's really popular. But yeah, if they don't have any features, like this is what's going to be in the Xbox One version, then no one's going to get excited for the Xbox One version when... By the time that one comes out, the PC one's going to be ahead anyway, because, you know, there is definitely appeal to having Minecraft on the console, but it's on the 360, so you don't really need to upgrade. If you cared about upgrading and getting all the new stuff, you would just play the PC version.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of a bit backwards.
That trailer was, like you say, it was really bad. I mean, all the things you can do in Minecraft, and it's just a guy walking around. I mean, come on, you can do better than that. It's E3, for goodness sake. Yeah,
they could show him making like a wooden axe or something like that.
Punching trees.
Staring at a chicken.
Yeah, my favourite thing to do in the game.
For hours. So Minecraft is coming. I don't think they said a release date, as far as I could say. Because if it was coming at launch as like a straightaway app on the arcade, then that would be quite nice, but... Still, they didn't say anything about that, so we'll assume it'll probably be 2014. Right, so the next game was Quantum Break, which they already announced, but they also showed some more stuff, and I have to say I was pretty impressed by what I saw, because the main demo...
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to remember what it was now. Yeah, I remember what it was. It was where a woman was kind of like in slow motion, wasn't she?
Yeah, in that big explosion.
Yeah.
And then you're like some detective guy or whatever, time agent, and then you show up and start saying some stuff and look through the clues, and I thought that looked pretty interesting, but the odd thing, or the odd feature about it, is that they're saying that it's going to be a TV show at the same time, and what you do in the game affects the TV show, so you're like modelling... So you have a TV show, then you just change things, I guess. But that sounds... It's a good idea, but I don't think they can pull it off. I think it's a way too ambitious idea to make a TV show engrossing and then try and add in gameplay to that and have that be engrossing at the same time. It's not going to be any Game of Thrones, I don't think.
Well, so was it something... I mean, obviously you don't know, but I'm just kind of posing it. Would it be like they take what the majority of players choose and then they put that into the TV show? Say if there's a decision in the game.
That would be one way of doing it, and that might be right, but the impression I got is that people would have personal experiences, so it would be more... Maybe there's like 4 possible outcomes, so you get one of the 4 when playing it, and that's what the part of the TV show you see.
Oh, I see.
That's what I assumed it was. I can't say that for certain, but that other way as well would also make a lot of sense. But I think if they did it that way, like popular opinion, then it would just... You might as well just have a vote online, I think. Yeah. So that's why I think they're going to go all in. But the game did look interesting, the whole idea of being a detective and the whole time thing. I can't get excited for it because a game that's all about the story, it's hard to get excited about because you don't know if the story's going to be any good. You just know what the setup is. Alan Wake, which is... Remedy is making Quantum Break, and they made Alan Wake, had a decent story, but the cutscenes were terrible, so it's nice to see that the Xbox One, with that hardware, they're making cutscenes that actually look good, so it's one to look out for, and I was impressed by it more than I thought I would be. And, I'm interested to see if they can pull off the whole TV show and game thing.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm looking out for, is that whole aspect. Definitely.
Yeah, it kind of separates it, but I don't think it'll personally work, but if they can make it work, then it's going to be awesome. Right, so the next game revealed was a short trailer. Also, it's worth mentioning that this conference, it was a game a minute. The pace of it was crazy. It was just a trailer, some guy came out, a trailer, another trailer, some guy came out, a trailer. It was games galore for an hour and a half, so...
They did say that, didn't they? On their own Xbox conference. They said this is about the console, games at E3. So at least they delivered with that.
Yeah, it was all games apart from the 360 model, and right at the end it was just games and trailers. So that was pretty cool. And one of those games that kind of came and went was a game called D4, which
I just have question marks next to that one.
Well, did you ever play Deadly Premonition?
No.
It was it was pretty much a PS2 game that they released on the 360, although it never came on the PS2, they just ported development, and it was made by this weird Japanese developer, or this one guy called Swery, and it has like cult status where it was really bad, but it was, that people like it because of how bad and kind of odd it is.
So bad it's good.
Yeah, it's because it was also ambitious, but it's a really odd game because it's a big Twin Peaks rip-off, and the original game, because they re-released it as a director's cut to fix a load of problems, and I think the original game was in 480p. It wasn't in HD, even though it was a 360 game.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird and all that. So this is like this guy's new game. It seems like they're now putting a bit of money behind him, and they're actually going for a stylized graphical thing. But of course, this guy's nuts. So this could be anything. This really could be anything. It might be awesome, it might be terrible, might be a mix of the two, like Deadly Premonition. So you can't really say much about it apart from it's interesting that someone gave money to this guy to make another game after playing Deadly Premonition.
Maybe they can afford more than 480 pixels now as well.
I bloody hope so. that would be nice. New features. So the next game, I think this next game probably stole the Microsoft conference for me, or was one of the big ones. It was Project Spark, which I had no idea what it was at first, and then from what I can tell, it's like black and white, but you just create stuff. You know, it's kind of hard to describe. You know, it's just you have a big world and you can make stuff, and then they just showed someone using smart glass creating this world and then playing the world. And it's interesting because, first of all, the game was beautiful and the graphics were great, but then you could also customize the gameplay within the world. So it wasn't just creating something that looked good like most level editors. It was actually customizing gameplay and changing the nature of enemies and seeing what enemies could come in. So I don't know how this is going to translate to a game, but when it does, I'm definitely interested in it.
I couldn't really like it that much. I thought it was very... I put here wishy-washy. That's what it seemed to me. It seemed very... They say you can make these whole worlds and all this stuff, and the little bit of intelligence that you could program into things did look interesting. But I hate it when things say, oh, you can create anything you ever wanted, and then it's like, right, you have ice, snow, or ice, woods, desert to pick from. It's like, well, what if I want some... It just doesn't seem very detailed to me. I don't know, though. I could be wrong.
Well, I kind of thought that at first, especially because they showed, that limited palette, and then they showed, oh, this is what our developers have been making for 3 days. And it was just pretty much exactly the same as they just made on stage, just with more fire everywhere.
Yeah.
But then they actually showed a trailer which showed the, other games being recreated in Project Spark. The one, I can't list all of them, I didn't recognise all of them, but I saw Limbo was in there.
Angry Birds, I think, was in there.
Angry Birds was in there. There was a ton of different games in there, so I think that definitely shows off that there's a lot of potential,
Yeah.
So it's a game that I think is coming out next year, so they're still kind of working on it. But once they get the tools down and when it actually, gets released, I think it's going to be really great. Although I'm not a guy who's into that imagination, being creative with a game world thing.
It could be very much like Little Big Planet. I think user created things, you get to share them around. Could be good, yeah.
I did get that vibe, but it also reminded me of Black and White and Fable. It felt like something Lionhead would make.
Yeah.
If people still cared about Lionhead. Which was interesting, there was no Lionhead game. They announced Fable HD, but that wasn't there at all, which was odd.
No, actually that's a very good point.
Because they announced it like a week before, so you would assume that because they announced it, then they would show at E3. But maybe it's still coming. Maybe there's a trailer coming out later this week. But it's odd that they would announce it, especially because they said it's coming out this year. So you would expect it to see at E3. And Fable is a big franchise for Xbox, so you would think it would be, kick out World of Tanks, put in Fable HD.
It would have been a lot better.
Definitely. It would have been a lot more exciting. Right, so the next game is Dead Rising 3, which was pretty much confirmed before the conference, but I'm a big zombie guy. I really like zombie games and all that kind of stuff. Well, zombie games I really enjoy the concepts of, because I actually enjoyed Walking Dead Survival Instinct. So, I didn't really like Dead Rising, the first two. I thought it was just kind of a bit boring, and it was one of those things where it just felt limited. And it felt ambitious with how many zombies there were, trying to have an open world, but it just felt kind of limited and just made it a bit boring in the end. And it was just one long escort mission, which, awesome. But this game seems to be doing a lot right. And it's a big open world, you play a new character. But did you notice in that trailer that they showed all the gameplay, that the lead character would not stop talking, to himself the whole time? He would just jump on a bus and be like, oh, that was close. It's like, this isn't good. Just the whole time. The character was just narrating what was going on to himself.
Maybe he has some mental condition. You don't know.
Yeah, maybe the zombies aren't real and it's just all in his head and it's some sort of crazy thing like that. Some twist ending.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that's there because other games kind of show this off as well with this new... they didn't say this technology, but I'm assuming the Xbox One in the next gen, one of the new technologies is, better AI recognition of what's going on in your active game. And I'm guessing that's why he kept talking, to show off that feature, where no matter what you're doing, your character will go like, oh no, and actually react better than previous gens. But either way, it looked really cool, and it was a big open world. And the scope of it, I was really impressed by that. Because, of course, zombie games are filled with zombies. You want as many zombies as you can. So I'm really interested in exploring a big city that's infested with zombies to the scope that they showed off in that trailer. So I'm interested in it because of that. I mean, I don't know if it's just going to be more of the same of Dead Rising, just technically better. But hopefully it's not. And hopefully they, can get it together and make a really great zombie game.
That's the only thing that I enjoyed from it, is the fact that there was just a lot of zombies there. The processing power of the new consoles are going to be like zombies everywhere and massive places to explore, like you say. But apart from that, I mean, the gameplay didn't look very interesting to me, like mashing up weapons and here's a sledgehammer saw. I hope there's a little bit more to it than that.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, I think the problem is that if there's more to it, then it's going to be more escort missions and things like that. So, I mean, I'm hoping they come up with a good story and things like that, because with zombie games, they're kind of hard to mess up, and you got to get that right atmosphere. So if you're going for like a steady atmosphere that Dead Rising always does, then you got to kind of go all in. So I don't know. They're still making it. We'll see. But either way, it was some impressive footage they showed off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you say, if they do go, I do hope that the silly zombie thing will be good, because you do see too much of the serious zombie stuff, and like they always have that thing about in zombie games where it's like a group of people. And it's all serious and tense because you don't know if someone's got bitten, and then, oh my god, they've been bitten, what do you do? Do you kick them out of the group, or do you keep them in, and whatever, and blah 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 blah. I just want something fun. It looks like Saints Row zombie version.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, and I think that's what they tried to do in Dead Rising 2, but I'm not sure because I didn't really play it. But yeah, so it should be good. Right, so the next game we'll briefly mention is Crimson Dragon. Any interest?
I don't know, I couldn't hear it.
Good. Right, the next game is The Witcher 3, which I haven't played The Witcher 2, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. Big epic RPG. Very similar to a BioWare game. And The Witcher 3 is The Witcher 2 just with more scope to it, just better graphics, more to it. So I might have to get aboard the Witcher franchise. If Mass Effect has now disappeared, if BioWare hasn't announced their new game or whatever, then I think I might have to go on to Witcher 3. Because even though it's just more fantasy RPG, from what I've heard, the storyline of those games are actually pretty solid and quite interesting.
Yeah. What company makes them? I forgot.
It's a bloody good question. I have no idea.
Because I'm sure the only a lot of people are saying they're excited because now that they've can finish Witcher 3, they're making another game, like a cyberpunk game.
Right.
I think it's the same company, and that one that they're making, the cyberpunk game, looks really good. So it's like now they can actually go and do that now. But yeah, nothing to do with the actual Witcher 3. It's what they have in the future planned.
Everyone's like, woo, cyberpunk, and Microsoft's just, no, it's The Witcher 3. It's going to be really good. You can play this one.
It seemed fine. I wasn't very interested in it. It's just like, yeah, okay, great.
Well, I mean, would you say you're kind of just done with fantasy RPGs at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I've just seen there's just so many. I mean, yeah, I'm done. That's it. I'm done.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get back into it, but it's like I said with Skyrim. Or I thought about this earlier. There's a weird double standards when it comes to fantasy games where you can just make it generic and it's fine. Like Skyrim, Dark Souls 2, this game called Dragon's Dogma that came out that people like, The Witcher. You can just, if you're making a fantasy RPG, you can just make it bland and it's fine as long as there's a lot of it. And
yeah,
it's kind of odd that that's one genre where, if you did that with a space game, people would be like, that's boring. No one's playing that. You have to create your own universe. But with fantasy games, just have a cat person and move on. Like, just rip stuff out of Lord of the Rings and boom, you got a game that people want.
Where would we be without the cat people?
I'd just probably somewhere in a better place. I would hope.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah,
without the Thundercats.
Thundercats, the game,
Right,
coming to Xbox One.
I'm looking forward to it. People would buy that. If people were buying DuckTales, they would buy Thundercats.
Oh yeah, they would.
So the next game was, well, this presentation was the first like blunder they did, or the main one was Battlefield 4.
Awkward.
It was so entertaining and cringy at the same time. Because in case you didn't see it live, they were showing off this single-player Battlefield 4 demo, and it like, did it load up and then just stop?
It loaded up. Did it load up without sounds? They had to restart, I think.
It was something like that. It did load up, but then it kind of stopped. And then the guy was just on stage being like, I'm sorry about this. And then some guy, I think, like went, ha ha ha, like really loudly at him.
Yeah.
And people just started shouting
People
stuff.
were heckling, yeah. And one person, was, I'm sure someone said, Xbox, sound. It's really funny, actually.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he got heckled and then they showed it off. We'll get into Battlefield 4 a bit later on, but yeah, it needed to be mentioned because that was a pretty funny moment. And the guy, after the demo was finished, was not happy. He was so angry, you could just see it. He was just boiling and just was like, yeah, that was our game. I'll see you later.
People got fired for that. Someone got fired.
Probably.
Definitely.
I would hope so, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, so the next one was a teaser trailer for a new game. It's new Halo, but that people seem to like the trailer. I thought it was kind of laughably bad in a way. I do really like Halo. I wanted to see a new one announced, but it was really silly. It was this guy in a cloak, like a tattered cloak, walking through the desert. And then suddenly this big robot monster shows up, and then the guy takes off his hood to reveal the Master Chief helmet. It was so dumb.
It was almost like the monkey thing from Time Splitters. It's like, what?
Yeah, it was almost like a parody, because I was like, what is this? This is kind of a bit odd. Like, it would have worked, that trailer would have worked for something like Metal Gear Rising, and I think they actually did that, where Raiden's like a big cyborg. But it's kind of, Metal Gear has that tone. Halo doesn't have that tone to put it off. It was more kind of Star Wars than it was Halo. And the fact that he took off his hood to reveal a helmet. It's so stupid.
That was funny.
Like, it might have been shocking, but I figured out it was Halo as soon as there was one shot that zoomed out, and I was like, that's Halo. Because, like, the way they did it, because I guess I've played enough Halo to be able to pick it up. And then I saw the monster, I was like, that's Halo. Then I saw the dog tag, I was like, that's definitely Halo. So when I actually saw the actual reveal itself, the moment where you're meant to go like, it's new Halo, it was just, I kind of laughed instead.
You've got to imagine what they were saying as they were making that. Someone would have said like, sir, he has a helmet, he doesn't need a cloak. It's like, yes, but we need a big reveal. Put a cloak on him. It's like, but it really doesn't make sense. Just do it.
Why would he be in the desert with a cloak if he has a suit of armour?
I know. Oh,
it was really silly, but I'm still. I think it was still good because it shows that they're trying to do something different with the new Halo. They're obviously going to try something new and not do it. Stick to the same formula. Of course, it's hard to say at this point, but it's nice to see that they didn't say it was Halo 5. They just said it was Halo, but Master Chief was in it, and I think he was holding like Cortana's dog tags or whatever, if she had any. I don't know. So obviously it's going to continue on from Halo 4, but yeah, not much to say about it because they didn't show any gameplay, say any titles, didn't say a day. It's just new Halo on Xbox One, and that was it. So
that's it really, isn't it?
You could have guessed that for yourself, that there's going to be a Halo on Xbox One, and it won't come out till next year, so it all seemed a bit pointless. Like, oh well. So the next game was also a highlight for me, or something that piqued my interest. It was I've never heard of the developer before, and I can't remember their name, but it was a game called Below. Which,
yes, this was the only game that I was like, yeah, this is good. This is interesting me. That was the only game.
So I haven't. What was the game they made before? Was it Spells and something like that? Because this developer has made something before, but it wasn't a big hit. Spells and Sorcery. It's something like that. But this game below, it's like an up above kind of thing. Kind of hard to describe, like an RPG thing, adventure. But the thing that really interested me about it is that a lot of games this generation have been like, oh, we're going to have retro sensibilities, when really it's just kind of a bit pixely and way too hard to be enjoyed. But this game actually looked like it's keeping to some of the retro sensibilities, like on the SNES, you know, like games like A Link to the Past, the old Final Fantasies, things like that, Chrono Trigger. So that's what really interests me, because the style of it and the style of the gameplay, what little they showed, looked like they're going to, you know, take the best parts of modern gaming, but the really cool stuff from SNES days and make a really cool game.
It looked really nice. I really like the art style of it, and I'm really interested because I'm sure he said before it's a roguelike game, which is going to be good, I think, definitely.
Wait, rogue? What's that?
Roguelike. I believe it's where it's kind of random, it's like random dungeons and everything's kind of random. And,
so random, it's going to be
loot.
so it's going to be a dungeon crawler.
It might be. Obviously, it might have its own spin on it, but I think it's definitely. I like things that are random. It does make for a nice replayability.
Yeah, I think so. I think it looks interesting, definitely. But yeah, so that looked really cool. We're gonna have to keep an eye on it. I think I didn't see that many details about it. I don't know if it's going to be an exclusive on Xbox One, but I bloody well hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah, because then
spoilers for the end of the podcast.
Yeah, then I can't bloody play it. But so yeah, so that's below, and that was kind of looked really interesting. It's a shame they didn't spend more time on it, but yeah, it's one to keep an eye on. Right, so the final game was Titanfall, which is Respawn's Entertainment's new game. In case you don't know, Respawn was made after the whole Infinity War scandal after Modern Warfare 2, where there was a whole thing with Activision against Infinity Ward, and then a bunch of those people left and made Respawn, and have been making this game ever since, and they finally revealed it here. And I have to say, I think it looks great. It looks, to describe it, it's a mix between Halo and Call of Duty, and there's also mechs in there at the same time. And they seem to be doing a lot of things differently, like trying to make the multiplayer a more single-player driven experience with like the cutscenes and the having the characters. And then there's just a ton of cool stuff like running on the walls and things like that. So I didn't expect to be, but I'm really excited about this one, and I think it's going to be really cool when it comes out.
I don't think I got to be the complete opposite.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Man. It just looked like a shooter, but within robots. It really didn't interest me. Some people really love mechs and like mecha warriors and robot things. I don't, and it just seemed like Call of Duty but with robots.
Well, yeah, that's exactly.
That's what it is.
That's my argument. It's Call of Duty with robots. That's awesome. But no, they did seem to be doing different stuff though, because I like that I saw a lot of Call of Duty in there. But yeah, like the wall running, it seems to be more dynamic. It's more of a, you know, that you can explore the arena more. There's more kind of stuff to do. There's just more stuff to do. Because even though it was domination, was the game type they were showing off, where you have to capture the 3 points, you know, it seems like there's more to it. So, you know, after being disappointed by Black Ops 2, I am kind of looking for new, you know, first-person shooters to get stuck into. And this one, for me anyway, is doing enough new where I'm definitely, you know, when it comes out, I probably will pick it up.
Okay. I won't, but that's fine.
Well, won't see you there. I won't see you online then. There's something I wrote down in between some other bits, but I think maybe you missed it because it was hardly even there, but something called Black Tusk. Oh, yeah. I did see that, but I didn't write it down because nothing. It was kind of nothing.
It was about 10 seconds of, I don't even know. I don't know what that was.
It was just nothing. Like, apparently Black Tusk are a developer people really like, so that was enough for them to be like, by the way, they're making a game, and then that was it.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that in because it just seems so stupid to show nothing. I don't think anyone would come away thinking, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
no one's going to get... I guess it's cool that Black Tusk, whoever they are making a game. I'm happy for them.
Whoever.
I'm pleased for them, but I can't be excited for whatever that was, but
that really annoyed me. It really did. The fact
Yeah.
it was so short. I was like, no, I don't. No.
it seemed like a last minute thing that they just threw in to
Yeah.
pad it out a bit more. Get to that hour and a half.
Mm.
Right, so now let's get to the bombshell and forget what you know all about the games. It doesn't matter because of what they revealed at the end.
Yeah.
So they confirmed it's a November release date. So, way coming out this year. I'm happy for them. I'm pleased.
Yeah.
It's going to cost 429 quid. And
That's a lot of money.
That's so much money.
That's a lot of money.
This is what I was, saying before. This was my point before E3 that sure, the Xbox One features look good, but the reason why they're bad is because of this. Because £429, at least you could probably get it down to $350 quite easily if you took away the Kinect camera. I don't want to start talking about the PS4, but yeah, $429 and there's no other models. There's no there's no cheaper model or no more expensive one. It's just that's the one you get. You get a 500 gig hard drive, you get the Kinect, and you're paying $429.
I mean, that's it. I mean, that was the thing that, especially when PlayStation announced their price. It's just, well, I think we said last podcast, about like how much price does matter. It really does. It's kind of people walk into a store and see that's cheaper. I'll get that. So I don't know how badly that's going to affect the Xbox One, but it's going to be a lot.
I think it's going to affect them so badly because if it was the other way round, say Sony was the one with the terrible rumours about them and they confirmed all this used games kind of stuff, and Sony was the ones with that because the PS4 is cheaper, then it'd be like, okay, so this console is cheaper and I have to put up with these things, but I'm still paying less. Yeah. But the consoles are graphically and technically the same. The only pro for Xbox is the Kinect, which no one cares about. And then they have all these other restrictions and things that are negative things. Like there's not positive, all these online stuff and DRM. And it's more expensive at the same time. So I think that combination is just going to break them. And I think in the first year we're going to see a price drop, or we're going to see like more SKUs come out for the thing. Like one without the Kinect, or one that's just kind of cheaper but has less. Because they can't honestly expect people to run to the shop and pay £429 for the thing.
No.
You can buy 2 Wii U's for that. 2!
Yeah. And £429 could get you a decent computer as well. So I'm just saying.
Easily.
Yeah. So, oh man. I hope they do release a cheaper version.
We can only hope, but at this point it's just, that's rough. That's so
Although
rough.
part of me actually doesn't want them to, just to see how much they'll crash and burn.
Oh, I would love to see Microsoft go under in the console business. Like at this point, ask me like 4 months ago, I'll be like, yeah, new Xbox, awesome. And then, it's been a short amount of time and I now hate Microsoft and their stupid things.
That's crazy, just how short it's been. We hate everything about them.
Awful. Just awful, because I guess we won't go into it too much because we still got a lot to cover and it's almost an hour in, but yeah, they did confirm all the horrible rumours about used games, about being online and offline, and pretty much none of it's definite, but they've added in all these stupid restrictions. So if your Xbox isn't connected to the internet in 24 hours, then you can't play games on it, which essentially means once they shut off the servers, you have a brick. And you just can't sell a console. Mind. You can't sell a console for that much when it's not really yours at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Your features aren't terrible.
You're basically renting it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You're just renting a console and renting games that you can lend your mum for free, but if you want to lend your mate, then that's going to cause problems. You have to log... I don't want to get into it. That's way too depressing.
Let's just move on.
But at the end of the day, $429 is way too much when there's some good games. I have to admit, they did announce there was some good stuff in there, and I think it's going to have a decent launch, but it doesn't have a good enough games to justify paying that much when it has that many problems.
No. definitely not.
Right, so I think it's probably best to jump to the Sony one. It went Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, and Sony, and they were all streamed. But I think for the sake of time, we'll go Sony because that's the biggest one, and maybe we'll say EA and Ubisoft for another day, because if it took us an hour to do the Microsoft one...
Yeah, okay then.
The
Good
Sony
idea.
conference was an hour. So time-wise, we're not doing great.
No.
So yeah, so let's start off the Sony one. So they started off with a really annoying kind of clip thing of all their stuff and lights everywhere. I don't know what that was about. It was like 2 minutes of just random gameplay flashing up and then just lights, and it's just like, what is this? It's not a disco, it's a gaming conference. I found it really distracting.
Yeah, I didn't get that. Just move on.
Yeah, just get it
on with.
Get it started.
Yeah.
But luckily the Sony one, there's not that much to cover compared to the Xbox one. So initially they started off about talking about the PS3, and the games they kind of talked about was The Last of Us, which by the way looks amazing. I really want a PS3 so I can play that game, because it looks incredible.
But why? I can't work out what. Like, why is everyone just saying it's so amazing for?
Well, here's the thing. It's, from what I can tell, it's Uncharted, because Naughty Dog made it, mixed with the Walking Dead Telltale game.
Right, okay.
Where you have like this, where you have the gameplay of Uncharted and all that kind of stuff, although not over the top. You know, it's about survival in a city and fighting mutants and things like that. So you have that mixed with the whole, a story of somebody trying to survive a thing and actually having the story be told well. So it's that mix, you know, because the Telltale games didn't have that much gameplay to them. So if you then added really good gameplay, that's a critically acclaimed game right there, and that's what The Last of Us is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Not impressed? That was a not impressed... Nah.
Oh, no, I am. I'm just thinking about it. But yeah, that does sound good, actually, because I really did enjoy the Telltale Walking Dead. So yeah.
So yeah,
okay, then.
It's like the most critically acclaimed game of this generation.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. I'm like, really? Like, what is it about it? But okay, now you've said that to me. Understandable.
If you had a PS3, you would probably buy it.
Oh yeah, I do. So I could.
Oh nice. Oh yeah, you do. Of course, Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll see about that. Ooh.
Definitely, but yeah, it looks great. Then there was a game called The Puppeteers, which, what the hell was that? I don't quite understand.
Don't know.
Some weird, sadistic, childish thing. I don't know. Tim Burton. I don't know. And then they mentioned GTA 5, and that was that. Yeah,
basically, here's a GTA 5 themed headphone thing and a bundle that it's going to come with.
Oh, it just looks ugh. I mean, I guess the gangster youth likes headphones, so...
But are they better than Dr. Dre Beats?
Oof.
Who knows?
Well, they're probably less expensive.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, not actual game news, really, so that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I don't think Rockstar have done their panel conference, their version of it yet, so we haven't really seen that much about it. Right, so let's get to another racing game, because I know you love them. You can't get enough. Well, we don't have to talk much about it. It's Gran Turismo 6, and, you know, there wasn't much to say about the Forza 5 one, and there's even less to say about Gran Turismo 6. Apart from the fact that I think it's coming out on PS3, which is just like, why? Why? But apart from that, the trailer was terrible. It was just like one race, and that was it.
Yeah, racing.
So
I have nothing to say. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be very useful for this part because I just have nothing to say about it.
Well, we're going to move on because I have nothing to say about it either.
Oh, good.
Because there really was nothing to talk about. Apart from that car looks fine. Right, so then the final PS3 one was Batman Arkham Origins, which is looking really cool. And they didn't show like in-game like footage of just the gameplay, but they did show stuff like the trailer version of gameplay. So you could actually see Batman punching someone in the face, and that game's shaping up to be really good.
Yeah, there was something in that really quick bit of the trailer. I mean, I think it might be a new game mechanic, but something about how you can see where an accident came from. Do you know the bit I'm talking about?
Yeah, the detective mode thing where you could recreate it and it like sucked the explosion back in. I think it was an explosion. Or something got blown up and you could recreate it. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Because detective mode was always kind of simple and more kind of a novelty thing. So it's nice that they're actually going to integrate it into something visually cool at least.
Yeah, people always say that, Bruce Wayne, as well as being really cool at fighting, he is a detective.
Yes.
So it's good that they're definitely focusing more on that as well. Or, well, hopefully they will anyway.
Yeah.
From what it looks like.
I mean, I think it looks really great and it's going to be a great game. And then something odd happened for about 5 minutes. I just wrote down TVBS because that's the best way I could sum it up. Some guy just came on stage and started bragging about how many films Sony have made and TV shows they make. And then he left.
The head guy. So everyone's like the head of something, and then he seems to be like the head of
Sony
Pictures.
Yeah, Sony Entertainment Pictures, I think. But it wasn't. It was pointless. It was just, the PS4, we're going to do some video stuff. And then he just started rambling about how they made Spider-Man. I don't quite get it. I guess it's their response to the whole Xbox One TV stuff. So I guess they just threw on that guy because they're like, okay, they're making Halo with Steven Spielberg. We need to show that we are committed to TV in some way. So I think that 5 minutes was their way of trying to show that.
At least it was only 5 minutes, eh?
Yeah, but it was so odd. So odd.
It was.
So outplayed. Right, I didn't write this down, but did they then show the PS4, like the actual console itself at this point?
Yeah, I think that guy came back in, the weird guy, who does creep me out a little bit, but I don't know what his name is. The English guy. He came out, I think he showed it then, yeah. Yeah,
because I think it looks pretty cool. I think the most noteworthy thing about it is that we're back to black. I have like a tower of white by my TV with my 360 Wii and Wii U. So next generation is going to be a tower of black with everything else. So that, I guess that's the most noteworthy thing about it. Other than that, it's a cool looking box, but
it's cool looking and it is smaller as well, which is good.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's smaller, but it doesn't seem very sleek.
No,
it surprisingly doesn't look sleek and. Because that seems to be where everything's going, but this was kind of a bit clunky compared to, say, an iPad.
It's a shame because a lot of people were... they released that trailer of really quick cuts of tiny bits of it.
Yeah.
People from those images were trying to make their own versions, and their versions were much better, which is a shame, than the actual thing.
Yeah, because it was like slanted, it was like a trapezium or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is an odd choice, but I mean, good for them, I guess, for going for something like that. Right, so the first game they showed was The Order, which they didn't. It was just a cutscene of these people in Jack the Ripper times. I'm assuming it's Jack the Ripper because they had Whitechapel on the side.
Yeah, it was like 1880 something.
But then they have like futuristic stuff, kind of, and then they have big explosions, and then the trailer ends, so. Again, with a lot of this stuff, whenever they show a trailer that is just cutscene, I can't say anything about it because you don't learn anything about the game, not really, or nothing that's going to make you go out and buy it.
No.
And I think The Order was a big example of that, where there's it's an interesting idea, but why am I going to get excited for it?
The only thing you could get from that is the setting and the theme. And I do like the theme, the whole Victorian, there's a word for that as well, steampunk kind of thing.
Sure.
So that does look cool. It's just, once we see some gameplay, it'll be good.
We'll wait and see. Then I think at this point they showed off the 4 PS4 games we already knew about, which I didn't write down because I'm stupid, but I think it was Killzone, Infamous... That stupid Knack game, I think it was called. God, that looks terrible.
Yeah.
I talked about it before with Sunset Overdrive. Talented people wasting their times on stupid concepts. And this is another one. The guy behind Crash Bandicoot's making this game. And it's just, it just looks really dumb. It doesn't look charming. It doesn't look interesting. And it's just, forget about it.
Okay, we will.
Well,
it was never there.
Thank God. And then there was another one. There was a 4th game that I can't remember. It's not good. Oh, well, it probably wasn't very good anyway.
No, there you go.
Because also they were saying, I think 3 of those games were going to be launch games. and then one of them was coming out 2014. I think Killzone is coming out at launch, but
that's launch one. Yeah.
Again, they kind of went over it a bit quickly, so I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, so based on these kind of, we'll just move on. There's not that much to say about them because they already got revealed before.
Yeah.
Right, so the next one was Transistor, which is the new game from Super Giant Games.
Yep.
I'm trying to do this all from memory. It's stupid. I have the internet. I don't have to. Stupid piece of paper. But yeah, so it's not a sequel to Bastion, but it's a very similar looking game in terms of gameplay. And it's like a futuristic kind of thing, and you're some girl going around, and it looks very similar to Bastion, which is both a good and a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because Bastion was good, but it's a bad thing because part of what made Bastion good was how unique it was. Yeah. So now that they've done a game that's similar to it, it's not unique anymore. So I don't know if I'll be willing to jump into it. So the surprise element has kind of gone, but I'm sure it's going to be a solid game. And apparently it's coming out 2014.
Yeah, it looked nice, but like you say, very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, because that's the advantage indie games have, the surprise, it's something new and a bit different and quirky or whatever. So when you kind of do another one and you don't make it different enough, then people are just going to... They don't want franchises. Yeah, they want something different. So they're going to just jump onto the next indie developer. So.
Yep.
And speaking of indie developers, they then showed off 8 indie games that are coming exclusively to PS4, which I thought was like the coolest moment of that conference. Where you just
had... The guys playing them, didn't you?
Yeah, they revealed it one by one, and they had the 8 people playing them, or like you said, pretending to. Then they had the screens of them each playing their game. Now, I'm not excited about any of those 1 games in particular, but seeing those 8 games there did kind of make me think they look cool, and there's some cool stuff on the way for PS4, and maybe I will check out one of them, because I think they also said 3 of them are going to be like free when the PS4 first launches. So yeah, it's cool they're doing that, and it's all part of Sony's self-published indie developers, which Microsoft is saying that they have to publish it, but Sony are just saying just self-publish it online and it's fine. So
that's how you do the indie stuff. You don't just say Minecraft. You show some good indie games. So yeah, that was definitely good.
Well, I mean, creative control is the big thing when it comes to indie games. Like, you just let them loose and something good will come out of it. You might get a lot of crap as well, but something good will come out of it. If you try and, say, control that kind of creative cycle, then you're just gonna create... Then it doesn't work in the same way. People won't enjoy it like they do with Steam.
No. It's in the name, indie. You got to be indie.
Yeah, definitely. So then Squaresoft had a couple of trailers. The first one was Final Fantasy 15, which looks terrible. I'm assuming you're not a Final Fantasy guy, right?
No.
I'm not either, but by the looks of those trailers, they all have nice cutscenes, so just showing some cutscenes, who cares? I'm not going to get excited for it. Final Fantasy 13 had really great cutscenes, and that game was average at best. So I'm not excited about that. And then they announced Kingdom Hearts 3, which I've never played them, but that trailer for that Kingdom Hearts 3 was terrible. Like, they showed the whole thing of all the games before it, and then they showed the logo, and then it just showed some random kind of gameplay, and then it just ended. And the gameplay didn't look good, it didn't look interesting, it was just him running along. And then it ended. So I don't know, I'm sure the Kingdom Hearts people are excited about it, but anyone who's not, like myself and you, I can't imagine any of us are going to care.
No. I've never really understood those games, so I just didn't. It went straight past me.
It's just some anime kid gets a key and Mickey Mouse is excited and evil.
Yeah, the whole Disney aspect to it, I've never understood that. I don't understand, like, it's just weird to me. There's Disney bits in it, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, it's all in with the Disney as well. Most of the worlds take place in Disney worlds. Like, I think in the games you go to like different Disney films and like take part in each film's universes for a bit to do a story. It's a bit odd, but people love it, so...
Yeah, good for them then. They got something to look forward to.
Right. We're getting there slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one was Elder Scrolls Online, which looked a lot better than I thought it would be, because I've complained about the Elder Scrolls before, but it did look pretty decent. Although the thing I did notice is that one thing I don't like about Skyrim is the combat isn't great. And with a MMO, you need good... Well, I guess you don't need good combat, but you need a combat that kind of works. And I don't know how the Skyrim and Elder Scrolls combat is going to transition to multiplayer and have that be fun.
Yeah, the thing they got going for them, those types of games, is the environments and the settings and everything, not necessarily the combat. So, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, the trailer focused on the combat, which is odd. You would think they would focus on... It's on the PS4, so look how big this world can be that you can explore. But they didn't. They focused on people firing ice at people. And then that was kind of the trailer. So, yeah, that's coming 2014. And I don't think it's exclusive to PS4, but I guess that's the console you want to play it on. Well, that's how they painted it. Right, so next up is Mad Max. Anything to say about that?
It was just a cutscene, so no.
No, let's move on. And then they went to detail PlayStation Plus, which they confirmed that you have to have PlayStation Plus to play online for PS4, but it's not that bad because apparently it's only going to be $5 a month, and then you get a ton of free stuff anyway, like a racing game, Drive By, so you're excited about that.
Love it.
Get that. So you get that for free, which is pretty cool, and a ton of other stuff. So yeah, it's disappointing that you have to pay for it, but honestly, I don't mind. For less than $5 a month, and you get a ton of free stuff. I think it's a pretty decent deal.
Yeah, nothing really to complain about there. So they didn't really shout it out that you have to pay for it. It was kind of just there on the line and on the back bit. But yeah, if it's nothing like it's like you say, $5, it's fine. And
then also they then proceeded to just insult Microsoft.
This was basically a middle finger to Microsoft, wasn't it?
That's the biggest cheer of all the conferences. That was the biggest cheer, was that when they said, "Oh yeah, you can play used games." Everyone was like, "Yeah!" Like everyone was into it. It was kind of a bit strange that you can announce a feature that isn't really a feature, but because another company took it away, the fact that you didn't is a good thing.
Yeah,
it's very confusing.
It is weird. People saying that Nintendo should do that now as well.
Yeah, because I was pumped as well, but I don't know why. I
must say that the guy, just a little brief tangent, the guy, I think his name was, I wrote down, Jack Tretton. I really liked that guy. I don't know why. He just seemed very, very likeable.
Yeah, I think he was businesslike, but he didn't seem insincere about anything.
Yeah, exactly.
He just seemed to be he's there and it's like, this is kind of how it is. This is what we got.
Yeah, he just said things clearly. So small tangent. That guy I really liked. So good for you, Jack.
Yeah, and he got the biggest praise. So
he did. Yeah,
I'm happy for him. Right. So the last game they showed was Destiny, which I've been on the fence about Destiny this whole time because it just seemed like Halo but an MMO, which doesn't sound bad, but it's nothing that I can get that excited about. And I think this kind of just confirmed that for me. It looks good. The graphics look amazing. How big the worlds are really cool. But the gameplay was just Halo, but again with some fireballs for some reason. Why does every game have to have fireballs? Just guns. It's fine.
They're going back to Mario, you see.
The guy that started it all.
Exactly.
It's a good idea, but it's just so I'm not excited about it. But the game did look really good. I thought the graphics were really impressive, and because I watched this part, because I was asleep by this time, so I watched this online afterwards in HD, and in HD it looked really cool, and the big scope of that wall, and it was really impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just it was Halo, wasn't it, really? So I don't know how excited I can get for it. I could admire it for its graphics, but that's about it, I think, really.
Well, it was a game that's... Again, it's scope, and they focused on the whole scope of it all. But I don't think Destiny is the game that I would get excited about because of the scope. I mean, it's going to be vastly improved because of it, but it's not the game I want to see a large amount of scope in. So, it looks good, but whatever, really.
Whatever.
So, let's get to the last thing they announced.
This is the best bit. I love this bit.
You know all those games we talked about? Forget about them. It doesn't matter. Microsoft doesn't matter. Sony games, whatever. It's £349. Wait, that is perfect. Like, that just shows, I said before how the Kinect is the thing that's adding the price, and this just confirms it, because they're both the same kind of console. They use different companies, but technically they're pretty much the same. So the fact that this is, what is it, 80 quid cheaper?
Yep.
80 quid cheaper. How can
that's two of those brand new games that you want to play.
Yeah, done. Because that's what you got to think about as well with Xbox One. Sure, you're paying 429, but you have to buy a game, which will be like 40-50 quid, and then you have to buy Xbox Live. Yeah, you have to buy Live, and if you want Killer Instinct, you have to buy all those characters. So with PlayStation, you can get everything you probably want and need for it for 400 quid, like a game online. So that's great. That's kind of exactly where I wanted them to hit, and that's awesome. I
mean, but both have got, is it 500 gigabytes they come with?
Yeah, it's the same hard drive, exactly the same.
Same hard drive. And if anything, you could argue that I think the PS4 is a smidgen more powerful because it has better RAM or something.
Yeah, I think the RAM is...
Smidgen.
Like,
DDR3 or something.
Yeah, like the Xbox is 3, but the PS4 is 5.
Oh, yeah, that's it, yeah.
Which is nothing that I think we would notice, but it's still technically better.
I think it does a lot for the developers and stuff, but yeah, for us it's not much. But I think it does mean a lot in terms of games. So
now
it's good.
If we break it down, when it comes to Xbox One versus PS4, how can anyone defend the Xbox One at this point against the PS4? It's kind of, for me anyway, if I'm going to buy one, and I probably will, it's PS4. Because Microsoft had more games, but Sony... it's cheaper, and that's it. That really is it.
And I like the tone of PlayStation's conference more. I don't know, they did seem to be very down to earth with all their stuff, and it wasn't like the Microsoft one was so stupid with all the gaming, all like the NFL or NBA and whatever it is, and they have all the players come out and recite these really generic lines that they learn. It's just, you don't need all that. The PlayStation one was like, here's all the games, enjoy, here's the price. Yeah, good.
Yeah, because all the surprises that Microsoft had, people were like, no one can get excited about it, or no one can get excited for when it gets launched. No one, the biggest game is like Rise, that's coming out on launch, and no one cares about that. And then even with the PS4, sure, I don't think there's like a killer game coming out at launch, but you get all the third-party games, and if you want to play next-gen third-party titles like the ones from Ubisoft and EA, then you're going to get the cheapest console, which is Sony. And at the end of the day, you're going to... whichever one you get, you're eventually going to get some great exclusives, like with the PS3 at the moment, Last of Us, and then you got Beyond Two Souls coming out, and then there's been other great ones, and on the other hand, you got the 360, which had great exclusive throughout. So, for me, there are no exclusives on either side where I have to go with one console. Like, I'm not so much a Halo guy that I have to go with Microsoft, and I'm not so much like a Uncharted guy that I have to go with Sony. So, because of the price, and because it doesn't have a load of stupid restrictions, it's PS4 all the way.
It's funny. If Rare had just made Banjo-Kazooie instead of Killer Instinct, you'd be saying something completely different right now.
It would be the complete opposite.
It would be the complete opposite, wouldn't it?
Listen, Microsoft, they've got the games, and that's what people want. It's all about the games. Sony, pff, who wants bloody Don't Starve? I want the games, or the game. And sure, it's a bit more power, but Kinect's pretty cool, I guess.
This is like some alternate reality thing going on here.
Oh God, yeah, it would be some... If they announced a Banjo-Kazooie Kinect game, I would literally rip down the middle, and just that would be the end of me. Because I would be so conflicted. It's like, it's a new one, but it's Kinect, and it's more money, but it's a new Banjo-Kazooie. I would melt.
Thankfully, that wasn't the case.
I didn't melt, so that's good news.
No, that's good.
I'm happy about that. Right, so I think we are going to go through the EA and Ubisoft ones. just because really a lot of these games were already announced, so we don't have to cover them in that detail. So
you can't have to. There's not much to say, really, is there?
No. So let's start with EA. The first game was Plants vs Zombie Garden Warfare, which cool idea, but I don't think Plants vs Zombies needed like a fully 3D, third-person shooter game. Really, I don't think it's that necessary.
No, it reminds me of there's that game on Xbox, Toy Soldiers.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that, and it's just okay. It looks fun, but it's Plants vs Zombies. What can you do?
Yeah, you kind of want the tower defense version, not that game. So I'm sure it's fine. The next one, Peggle 2, no one cares.
No.
So the next one was the big teaser, which was for Star Wars Battlefront, which looks good, but of course it was a teaser, so the real news is, or the real excitement about it is that it's being made, and it's being made by DICE.
It's being made.
They're actually making it, and I mean, what is the fact that they already released a teaser? What does that kind of imply? It's not coming out this year, but
they've only had a couple of months to do that, haven't they?
Yes.
So it shows that they know what people want. If they made that in that short time, and they realise that we need a teaser trailer for this, so that's good. That's a good sign.
Well, I'm also excited because I think DICE can do a really good job. We're going to get to Battlefield 4 in a second, but based on that footage, I think they could do something amazing when it comes to Star Wars and in that universe. Definitely. With all the different planets and things like that. Because again, the word is scope. And I think the scope they can add to Battlefront is going to be incredible.
I mean, the teaser itself, it was good.
Well,
obviously you didn't see much, but it was good. Yeah,
one thing it does kind of imply, though, only implies, is that it might be a first-person shooter, which I wouldn't really want to see. But again, they implied that by having the perspective in first person, but then they didn't show a gun or anything, so it might just to be the whole, for the big reveal, they probably did it in first person. But
yeah,
right. So
I hope so.
Next one is Need for Speed, which looks pretty good. Well, I'm sure you don't have any real opinions about it. But
no, none whatsoever.
To sum it up, it's cool that they're sticking with the Criterion thing, but I just want more customization. And if there's not that, then I'm not buying it. Next one, Dragon Age Inquisition, coming out 2014. It's like same thing with The Witcher 3. It's just kind of another generic fantasy game.
It's the same thing.
So I don't know how anyone can get too excited for it. I mean, this is the new BioWare game that they're making, so I'm sure it's good. But I don't know. I don't really know. Right. So then this is the game I'm most excited about. Embarrassingly enough, because I have to go back on what I said about this poor game. Battlefield 4. I really like it. I think it's going to be amazing. The single-player footage that they showed off during the Microsoft thing were better than I expected. Because, they had that big ship and all those different ships that got shot down, and then you fought on those and then you went across.
Yeah.
So I liked that, because I actually felt you were on a battlefield. Because that's the difference between COD. Like, COD is like an action shooter thing, like Bourne Identity or COD or James Bond, something like that. But Battlefield is all about Battlefield, so it's nice that they're doing that in the single-player. But the multiplayer footage looked really cool. I thought, when that skyscraper fell, I was like, that's a game.
That was the bit, wasn't it? I was up to that point, there was just all these really stupid guys yelling to each other, "Oh, quickly, I need cover." I was like, all right, fair enough. But then it's like, yeah, okay, that bit was cool. It's simple how gamers can just be like one cool thing, and it's all it needs. It's basically explosions. You add an explosion in there, you're done. Yeah, and people want it, and now I really want it. 64 player online on consoles, and then you got that thing like with the tank, like more destructible kind of world, and then the fact that the skyscraper fell down, it was awesome. That was a big moment in Battlefield 3's campaign, and it was a big whoa, and then it just happens in multiplayer. You can get in a tank and blow up a skyscraper so it falls down. Oh, that looks so cool. So cool. It does.
So that's probably the game I'm most excited for after that. That's all it took. So, kudos to them. It looks really good.
Mm.
And then they ended it off with Mirror's Edge 2, which it surprisingly looks... I think it looks a bit too much like Mirror's Edge 1, if I'm being honest. I never played that game, but I guess the main problem was it... I mean, did you ever play it at all?
I did play some of it, yeah. I didn't finish the game, so I can't say much about the story, but I did play the, mechanics and everything like that and the way it looked. It did look good.
Well, I think people liked it, but yeah, I think they could have... It looked too like the first one, because the first one needed expanding upon and, all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't seem like they've done that with this one. I might be wrong, but...
I don't know. If they made it too different, then people would moan about that. Definitely.
Well, yeah, but I think they need to, because from what I can tell, all the gameplay is running forward and then punching some guy in the face and then running forward again.
I don't know. I think Mirror's Edge. I think that's one of those games where people just want more of it. I don't think they care if it's not if it's different or anything. I just think they want more of it because they didn't get enough. It was quite a short game, so I think they're going to be pleased with it.
Well, yeah, but I'm just not a fan of the series, I guess, so I can't really comment. But yeah, it's more Mirror's Edge, which is what people wanted. So
there you go. They got it.
They got it. Right, so let's go straight to Ubisoft. Minute 26, Jesus Christ. They started off with Rocksmith, but I completely missed that because I couldn't get their bloody stream to work. I had to go all over the place trying to find a decent stream.
I think I missed that bit as well, yeah.
Yeah, it was the guy from Alice in Chains playing something on Rocksmith, and yeah. And then there was Splinter Cell Blacklist, which it's more Splinter Cell. It looks pretty solid because they seem to be going for a mix of Conviction and the older games, because Conviction was very much an action kind of oriented game with some stealth in it, but then the other games were purely stealth. So it seems like they're going for a mix, which is cool, but yeah, it's more Splinter Cell.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, Rayman Legends. Looks really good, but it should have been out already. Moving on. The next one was an interesting trailer. It was the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot, which... Was it just me, or could that trailer was almost hilarious, but they just messed it up by being a bit too childish and not knowing what they were doing with that trailer?
Maybe. I'm going to be entirely unprofessional, so I can't actually remember it.
It's the one with the guy, because you build your castle and then you go and loot others, and then it's the guy showing off his castle, but he keeps falling down. But anyway, It's like a PC kind of game, so it's not a big kind of thing. They just showed off that trailer. The next one was South Park: The Stick of Truth, which apparently is coming out this year, which is the most exciting part.
It's not dead.
Yeah, they didn't show off much about it because they just showed some South Park clips. But that game still looks good, and it's cool that it's still coming out.
Mm.
Right, so the next one is another racing game.
Yes,
yes, sir. It's The Crew, which I actually thought looked really good because it's, with the Xbox One and the PS4 being more powerful, they can now make these bigger and bigger worlds. So with The Crew, it's a racing game, but it's an MMO racing game. So what you do, you just jump in with friends and drive around in this huge world and do challenges and events spread across the world, or spread across the USA. I'm guessing it's not literally the whole of the USA, it's a scaled down version, but still, you can just drive from any point to any point. So I think that's a really cool idea. And
it was different, so I do like that. Yeah.
Because when I play racing games, I just kind of... me and my mates all brought Need for Speed Shift when it came out, and Shift 2 Unleashed. And what we would do for the most part is just mess around with the cars. We would just load up the Nürburgring and then just mess around. We wouldn't finish the race and see who could win. We would sometimes do that, but it's just messing around, smashing into each other, just playing in the open... playing on the track. So the fact that The Crew seems to be catering towards that I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, something different. That I did like that. So that was about it, really. A racing game that is slightly different.
Yeah, it's taking advantage of having that big world, which I think is the way this generation is going, and it's cool to see they're doing it in racing games as well.
Yeah.
The next
Scope.
one, Scope. It's all about scope.
Scope.
The next one is Watch Dogs, which I don't have much to say because it's like it looked good before and it still looks good.
I feel like I've seen that whole game now. It's just been there's a lot of it.
Like they revealed, if they just like announced it at last E3, and then revealed like one small thing about it, then it would have been really cool seeing it again. But so far, they just keep talking about it, and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it, all right? Just back it up. Oh, it's not good. And then the next one was Just Dance 2014, so I know you will be buying that day one.
Yep, pre-ordered.
Definitely. And then the next one was Assassin's Creed 4, which they hadn't shown any gameplay before, and the gameplay looks good, but it's more Assassin's Creed. And I actually think the pirate setting looks really cool and makes a lot of sense for Assassin's Creed. So, and it does also seem like they're taking advantage of having the pirate theme, so I'm pretty excited about Black Flag.
Yeah, the thing that I thought, especially when what was Assassin's Creed 3? What was that on? What was that based on? What was its theme?
That was the American Civil War.
That was it, the American Civil War. So it seemed to me like they're just like putting on these different skins of the same game. And like, are they actually going to implement it and match it to what they're doing with the theme? So like you say, it looks like they are, which is good.
I would have to say so, yeah. And it's nice that this is the first one that's breaking away from Desmond, and they haven't shown any future stuff. So I think this might imply that whole future thing and you going back in time or being augmented or whatever, they're finally dropping that and just having it be an assassin in pirate times, which I think takes off the edge of the series a bit, but still, it's still going to have great gameplay and it's still a cool setting.
Yep, looks good.
Sure. And then the next one was Trials Fusion, which I hate Trials, but that's for my own personal reasons. But people love Trials, so, there's a new one on the way.
There's 2 new ones, aren't there?
Yeah, there's Trials Fusion and Trials... I didn't write it down.
One for the... Oh dear.
Yeah,
We've
Trials,
just had...
Trials version is the console one, and then there's another Trials on iPhone.
Yeah, that's it.
Which has a different name. But anyway, I hate Trials, so it stresses me out way too much. I just can't play it. I just explode when I start playing it, because I tried to play the multiplayer with a mate or with a couple of mates once, and they had the game and I didn't, so I lost, and I just had to stop playing. I got way too angry. It's not good.
I just used it to mess around. That was it, really. Yeah,
it seems like a pretty solid game to mess around in, but yeah, I can't take it seriously. It's too stressful. But yeah, so more Trials. But yeah, it was odd because they didn't. One thing that's a theme, and now it's not the Nintendo podcast, but there's no. These games didn't get announced for Wii U at all. You would think, I expected Trials Fusion to get announced for Wii U, especially because it's Ubisoft, and Ubisoft love Nintendo. So I mean, it's a bit of a tangent, but yeah. So all these kind of games that are third-party games. None of them got announced for Wii U, so that's definitely a bad sign for Nintendo.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's just a sign in itself, really.
Yeah, none of them, none of these third-party ones. The Crew didn't, The only ones that have are the Ubisoft ones, which are coming out on 360 and PS3 anyway, so that's about it. But anyway, let's get to the last game. We're almost done. It's Tom Clancy's The Division. Which again, it's a big MMO. I think it's an MMO, but it's a big open world, persistent online world is the term they were using, where you're in a semi-future world where everything's gone to hell. It's an original setup. And then you're just scavenging with other people, and then they have more of the constant talking, the people just constantly talking, which seems pretty cool and a cool idea, but yeah, I mean, it's another Tom Clancy game, and it's an original Tom Clancy game. We haven't had that for a while. I don't think since End War might have been the last one, or Hawks. So I thought it looked pretty cool, but yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, looked pretty cool. It was. I must say, I was kind of zoning out at that point. It was near the end, so yeah, it looked cool.
Well, I mean, that game hinges on, are people going to get sucked into the persistent world kind of games, Because there's a lot of these games like Destiny, The Division, and the other ones that are relying on this, but if people don't latch onto it, then we could see them kind of going away. But I like that they're starting off trying to have these games and force these games in. Because, of course, they don't appear on console normally. They're on PC. So it's interesting that they're making a big shift to put these sort of games on home consoles.
The fact they're trying to begin with is a good sign. Even if it does fail, it's good that they attempt it.
Yeah, so I might play The Division if these big games take off, but if it doesn't, then it'll just be forgotten, and that'll be the end of that. Right, so that's it. Let's get this piece of paper out.
Man, oh man.
We're finally done. Covered all the conferences. So, if you're not too tired, I'm a bit tired. What was your overall feelings about E3? Or so far, anyway, on the big conferences?
Well, I haven't watched the Nintendo one yet, but out of the 4 that we just spoke about there, man, Sony have done it. They were saying if Sony doesn't mess it up, that's all they have to do is not mess it up, and they have won completely. And that's what they did. They did not do anything wrong. It was fine. It was perfect.
They showed up. And that was it.
Yeah. Basically, they showed up and said, "Here's a new console," and that's all they needed to do. And so I think I'm going back home. You know, I had PS1, I had PS2. Then I, for some reason, betrayed PlayStation and went to Xbox, and I'm returning back. I'm returning back home.
It's just
PS4.
Sony must be just laughing. They didn't have to do anything. Like, you know, they didn't have to have any innovation. They didn't have to do, like, this is what we have. They didn't have to focus on these exclusives. Xbox is focusing on exclusives. They're just making the games that they're making, Sony, and just releasing them, like, at the same rate as the PS3. They just had to announce the price for the thing. Like, that might be overcharged. I don't know, but $350 at the moment sounds wonderful. You know, that might be too much,
good.
but that's an awesome price. And it's a price I'm willing to pay to get into next gen. So they just had to watch Microsoft strangle themselves, pretty much.
Basically, yeah. I mean, and the Microsoft one was just, it was so obvious just how out of touch they are. I mean, people don't want to see this basketball player there randomly speaking stuff. It was just cringeworthy.
Well, it was just pretty bad because you're not going to win anyone over with that stuff. Everyone knows that there's going to be a new sports game. There's going to be a new FIFA, Madden, NHL, NBA. They're already there. I don't know why it's such a big focus, especially when it comes to the conferences. They really do love to hammer in. All the people do. They love to hammer in the sports games where nobody's excited for it because the people who like those games and the sports are already going to buy it.
Yeah, they buy me year after year, so, you know, don't bother.
Well, I think it was a pretty solid E3, but I would have liked a few more surprises that I really cared about. Like, the games I like are... I shouldn't complain, because a new Battlefront got announced, really, which is more than we could have ever hoped for, but the game I'm most excited about is Battlefield 4, and that's both a good thing for them, but I think kind of shows just how there was nothing killer at E3. There was no big games. There wasn't like they announced their new Halo, Microsoft, and it's not like Sony announced a new... And when I say a new Halo, I mean like a new IP, like a new killer IP. So, you know, if there was a killer IP this E3, I don't know what it was. I didn't spot it, and that's not a good sign.
It's not, but I don't know. I feel like there was just so many games that it was good. There were so many games. It's like, okay, there maybe not be one main one, but there's just, you've got so much choice now. So much choice.
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely pretty great. I mean, if we take out for a second all the Xbox One stuff and the price, if we just look at what each Microsoft and Sony presented, I don't think it's... You know, Microsoft did have a better showing, but that's mostly due to quantity rather than their game selection was a lot better than Sony's, you know, like... So their game quality was like the same, I would say, but Microsoft just showed off more. And I think there was more disappointments, like, I don't know, Killer Instinct, than there was with Sony.
Yeah. Yeah, they were very equal in games. It was just the console and that whole mess that really broke them apart.
So, I mean, for you, what were the top 3 games? You don't have to rank them, if you don't
Top
want
3
to.
games?
Yeah, the
Oh
top
my
3
goodness.
that you are interested in and are going to keep an eye on, at least keep an eye on.
The Below game, definitely.
Sure.
What Lies Below, or something, whatever it's
I
called.
think it was just called Below.
Below, okay. Below. World of Tanks.
Naturally.
Dance. No, not really. Probably Battlefield 4, thanks to the skyscraper.
Whee.
I'm just looking through a list now because I forgot a lot of them, which is not a good sign. Oh man.
And you can't say Battlefront, by the way.
Oh, why not?
Or no teasers, because you don't know what it's even properly called.
Okay, Quantum Break them.
Okay, yeah, that was definitely a good one. Really a solid
Showed
title.
promise, yeah. Oh no, but Batman as well. But we didn't know about Batman really.
Yeah, it's kind of odd with E3 because there are some games where it's like, yes, that is a game of E3. Like last year, Watch Dogs was a game of E3 2012, but this year I wouldn't say it's like a game of E3 2013 so much.
No.
So it's kind of odd how E3 works like that. But now that you asked, my top 3 is Battlefield 4. That's my number 1. And then Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, because the storyline looks great and I really like the idea of an open world Metal Gear. And then my third one would probably be a Nintendo game, but if we're keeping it to what is on that screwed up piece of paper on my 4 over there,
I bet you wish you hadn't screwed up now.
no, I can't remember. What else was pretty good? Can I say Battlefront?
No!
Why not?
No, you can't, because of what you just said to me, but I can't remember that now.
Yeah, but it's a double standard.
Oh, fine. You are the host, I guess. Say what you want.
Yes. No, I won't. I don't know.
Titanfall?
Titanfall. Yes, that's a good call.
There you go.
I'm going to
Alright.
and Titanfall. Probably in that order I just listed them. I'm excited about them. So the fact that I can get those all on PS4 is pretty sick. So I think Metal Gear Solid 5's coming on. For some reason, Kojima, the guy behind Metal Gear, seems to love Microsoft and Xbox at the moment. But as long as that comes to the PlayStation, because Metal Gear Solid 4 was a PS3 exclusive, I'm happy. And I think overall E3 was not the amazing one I expected it to be, but there were some highs, there were some lows, and there were some good games.
There were. You summed up very well there. Well done.
Oh, very professional broadcaster, I like to think.
Indeed.
So, before we end this off, any last thoughts on E3, on Sony, on EA, on Ubisoft, or anything like that?
Last thoughts. Last podcast we were saying that I'm very much, I want to be surprised by things.
Yes.
I'm not looking for anything in particular. So I'd say that pretty much I was surprised by a lot of things. I was disappointed by a few things, or rather just kind of meh for a lot of things. That noise exactly. But yeah, for a lot of things I was surprised and intrigued. So it was good. It was good for me.
Well, would you say that, again, I guess it's the whole thing that if you took out all the shooters and fantasy games, you would not have that many games.
No, but there's so many games that you don't know what they fully are yet. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, here's the thing, I kind of try and ignore those games, mostly because I'm just looking forward to 2013 at this point. I'm just looking to see what am I going to be buying with my PS4. That's where I'm at right now. What on launch day am I going to get?
Right.
And what is going to be available on other consoles. So in terms of that, I'm pretty satisfied. But then again, console launches aren't that big anyway, if you actually look at them. So, in terms of a console launch, I think they're going to be two good ones. Even if the Xbox One is going to burn.
Crash and burn.
Crash and burn. Those two things. So.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Sure. Let's curse them out. Right, anyway, so let's finally end this off. So, thanks for... If you listened to all of this in one go, 2 parts, I'll let you off, but in one go, wow, that's pretty decent.
Go get a life, I say.
Oh, whoa, hey!
No,
Let's
I
not
take
get
that
too
back.
hasty. It's not...
Censored.
Oh, well, I don't know. I might put that at the beginning of the podcast, try and weave it in, like auto-tune it and put it in with the Time Splitters 2 theme. and just have that for every podcast from now on.
That's not a good way to start. Why would you do that?
Well, something a bit different. Mix it up.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, anyway, so yeah, thanks for joining me, Mr. MrMuckluckable, as always.
Well, thanks for having me. Good little chat about E3 there. Or at least some of it.
We got it covered.
There'll be another one soon, though, won't there?
Yeah, so during the week, we will... there will be another podcast covering the Nintendo stuff. And, Joe, you're not a Nintendo guy, so I'm kicking you out of that podcast, I'm afraid.
That's fair. Fine by me. I would have nothing to say, so yeah.
You don't like racing games, and you're not a big Nintendo guy. If I bring up Mario Kart, it's going to be terrible. It's just going to be silence.
Yeah, you'll be on your own.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to get some people on there, but... Yeah, so tune in later in the week for the Nintendo one, and next week there will be a podcast where we will talk about anything we missed. So, so I'm going to finally end this off, so thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.